Hello.
Hi.
Good morning to those. Well, there's no point in saying good morning because you won't watch this at the time that we're recording.
Okay, it is my morning now. It
Now
is.
this morning, it's my early afternoon, which means it's my turn to be the one with lots of energy. Little switcheroo. Uh, um, Miles has the mate. I have a delicious glass of Thames
Yeah,
water.
that is going to ugly wake you up, but again, it is not morning for you. You have
Well,
already woken.
I have woken. I've been for a walk by the sea.
That's what we usually do. We go for a little walk down the river.
Mm. Um, and today we're having a bit more of a chatty episode rather
Yes, this
than
is very.
one of our masterpieces of academic integrity.
This is the most highbrow topic that we've probably talked about. I think.
I just hope this is more interesting than world episode. I
It's gonna be something.
I really feel like when people say that you have to make sure you show up every time, I understand more what they mean now than ever.
Gotta step up to that plate. Gotta hit that
And speaking
T-ball.
of plates,
Oh my god, come on, segue.
someone say wait. So we're going to talk about food. I think that there's a few reasons for this. One is that is it in the YouTube description or the Patreon description where you mentioned that we both enjoy like Asian food.
I don't know what it is, but one of the two.
Um, and so we're actually contractually obliged to make this episode in order to meet the requirements of YouTube.
And I
Um,
think that we're both very I don't want to say culinarily gifted, but we know our way around a kitchen fairly okay.
I think like we've both been watching Bake Off, and I
Yes.
think that it's always surprising to me how little some of these things permeate into the mainstream, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, like a jampong isn't an especially radical idea, but actually I've never had jampong.
I just don't to me seafood is hit or miss for me.
Mm.
And I usually will have squid or octopus, which I kind of can be averse to. Just texture wise, I'm not a big fan.
Mm. I think that I think amongst my no, even in my friend group, I'm known as someone who can handle relatively spicy food. But my body is not always as willing as the tongue.
My tongue is very willing. My body just hates it. Like going in, it's very. I can handle a lot, but going out, no, no, it's not. Oh god.
I love that that's where we are.
I might have mentioned the story of the first time I got hot pot for it being so spicy. This is hilarious. Okay, so it was me, my sister, and my mother. We were in London, Chinatown. I will distinctly remember this. And we went to get hot pot, but then we can handle the spice. Of course we can handle the spice. So they bring no, we're stupid people. And they bring out this red cauldron full of these small little chilies everywhere. And our first instinct is to take out the chilies. Because we can't do it. And then I start eating, And then maybe like 20 minutes later, I'm just like sitting there, utterly just like catatonic, cannot breathe or anything because like my mouth is on so much fire. And I'm the one who can take the most spice in my family. So if I was feeling it, I do not know how the other two were feeling at all.
I hadn't actually had hot pot until like it was really popular with my Chinese friends in Seoul to go to Hai Di Lao. And Hai Di Lao, I think they have more locations in Seoul than they have in London. And I think that I'm not exactly sure what the whole reasoning is. I get this impression that in London, the Hai Di Lao is super popular with like, because we get a lot of Chinese like international students, and so they go to Hai Di Lao. You get a lot of people go to London for the Chinese food still. I feel like Chinese food in London has really reached like new heights recently. We've got like a lot more regional Chinese food now, and we have a Hai Di Lao, we have a Happy Lamb, like those hot pot chains that exist in China as well as outside. But like it's really quite expensive and hard to get in. Whereas I don't know what it is. I guess Seoul was also like in reality not that far from China. Right? It's probably easier to source everything. But and also like I ended up like being friends with some, like, I don't know what the right way to say it is, like Chinese like wealthy people who were like super generous with their money. And so you kind of, but it was really weird because you would, like, I did not get on that well in my head with like some of these students, but they would pay for your whole meal. And it's like, oh, I can't really complain about these people's behavior if they've then gone and bought me like 30 quid's worth of hot pot.
If anybody who buys me food, I am your friend. If you feed me, I'm your friend. Period. Oh my gosh. Like I could like for me, like eating is so social too. Like that, like for a while, like if like I was like alone or like if I was like going to like the dining hall, I could not like go by myself. Like I need to have somebody there to like instill like the social contract of like eating. I mean, I've gotten better, but like also like I don't know where I was going with this, but I was gonna say like around here, like we just they just opened like a hot pot Korean barbecue kind of place. And you can get one for like 20 something bucks, and then you can get the combo for like 35. So it is more reasonable. It still is like expensive. Like for dinner for two is like that's a good amount of money. But like it is at least one of the most authentic like places like we have around here, and that's kind of saying something. Like a lot of the Chinese food here is very like Americanized, like orange chicken, Mongolian beef, like that kind of variety. Not bad, but like it's just like.
Do you want to talk about the Chinese food debates?
Oh, I would love to. I don't know what a curry chip is, and it scares me. Okay.
What I will say is this. When you see these like Chinese food videos coming out of the UK, it's very often someone who because it became a trend, you have a bunch of people who in reality know very little about Chinese food ordering from these restaurants. And they're just buying the stuff that they like, which I do not hold against them. Like the regular like Chinese food offerings at like British Chinese restaurants, they are designed to taste good to like our palates, right? Who is going to turn down a piece of deep fried chicken covered in a sugary sauce?
I will turn it down. Well, I will turn it down in like a Chinese context. Like if it is a chicken and waffle, I will gladly devour that.
See, I think it's also quite funny because there were so many Americans that were like trying to lecture British people. Like there were two aspects to it, right? There's the fact that we would say, I want to get a Chinese. And they were like, oh, what's something that sounds racist that isn't? And all the British people like hear the word sound, like they hear sounds racist, and then they're like, oh my god, I'm not racist. Like, why are you saying that about me? And then all the Americans were like, well, actually, I didn't call you racist. I said it sounds racist, but it's not. And the whole conversation just became completely useless in actually being any kind of teaching moment.
Of course it is. Of course. Like how can you like teach like when you're trying to attack somebody? Or call them, you're calling them out, not calling them in.
And it basically became like Panda Express versus Chinese takeaways. And the first thing I'm going to say is that comparing Panda Express to like what in the US I believe you call mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
Like these restaurants that are usually opened by like Chinese couples who migrated here is like completely unfair.
Oh my gosh, no, like there is no Chinese kid sitting in a booth with his iPad in Panda Express. There's not. And you know that if that kid is not doing his Kumon, the food is not good.
And the other thing to say is that the migration patterns to the UK and the US were quite different.
Oh yeah.
So like the vast majority of the Chinese migrants to the UK who didn't come as in the last like 20 years were all from Hong Kong. And so we have a version that's not only like you have different kinds of distance in food. You have the fact that the food that's popular here is from an old form of not just Cantonese, but specifically Hong Kong food that was then adapted to a time when Chinese food was really hard to access here. And American food is primarily based on Fujianese food, I think.
That is true.
And it came in when migration from Fujian happened, it was a lot of migrant labor, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was usually for like the railroads and stuff.
Yeah. And so there are a bunch of Chinese American dishes that, as far as I'm aware, are based on Chinese methods that they were aware of, but without like a history of the recipes. And so like beef and broccoli is maybe closer in terms of structure to like a traditional Chinese dish than like your Hong Kong sweet and sour chicken. But Hong Kong sweet and sour chicken is an actual like at least it's not just called Chinese food. People know in the UK that what they want is a kind of British meets Cantonese dish that like has specific factors about it that make it tailored to our quite basic instincts. And in that very earliest Chinese restaurants, there was also always a menu that was in Chinese for migrant workers.
Yeah.
But they would serve both in the same place. And so that's why I say it's always the people who don't know what they're talking about that make these food videos. Because if you go and you look for the things that you know you want, you can find some really good Cantonese food in British Chinese restaurants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a matter of just like A, like who's cooking it, and B, just like kind of like the experience. I mean, there's like if you have those two like skill sets, you're gonna be able to make good food. It's a matter of like who your audience, who your eaters are. Like
Yeah.
I love like doing like little. I haven't done it in a while, but like just because like our kitchen is just not conducive for like the entertainment aspect. But I love like throwing like dinner parties, potlucks, and like cooking for like a large amount of people. Like it is something that like that is how like I show just like friendship is like planning out like a maybe like a 3-course meal, like explaining like what it is and doing all that stuff. Like I remember I made Remy kind of like a nice fancy sort of like meal for like when we first met. And I made like some like Brussels sprout moment with like maple syrup and like walnuts and stuff. And then I made like this like celery root apple arugula salad of some sort, and that was tasty. And I think there was one other thing, but I don't remember what it was. But like I just love like doing that and just like being in the kitchen and just like experimenting with like whatever flavors. Like I love, and I think this is a like something I kind of like grew up with a little bit, because like when I was little, my dad would take me to a lot of like but if he had like a business trip, he would take me along, and it's kind of in like like a area where like we would kind of go to like more like I don't know like hoity-toity restaurants, but definitely like more like structure chefy sort of deal.
But upmarket.
Say again?
Upmarket.
Yeah, like kind of like upmarket, very like high fine dining restaurants where like they would kind of just play with food like way more so than like the Olive Garden, right? But like there was one where first off the name was called Schwa. Already related. Hold on.
Iconic. Absolutely iconic.
And it was like I remember like it was so hard to make like a reservation because you had to call them, but you're calling these people who are cooking in an environment where they are blasting like heavy metal and like kind of like hardcore rap. They are some semblance of like a little bit not sober, and you just have to like the hope and pray they hear the phone, and like that's just the environment that you're in. And I remember they made like a Wendy's baked potato soup that tasted just like that. It kind of gave like the menu, but like less like I'm trying to kill these people. Which I haven't seen the menu yet.
The menu's pretty good. Like
I heard it was good.
I recently got a Dropout like trial.
Yay!
But like I watched one of the episodes of it's called Gods of Food or whatever. Like
the gastronauts?
No, it's like a spoof of Chef's Table.
Oh.
I'm not recommending it. I think I'm not the audience, right? Because so like I really like Chef's Table. But I think that I'm not someone who the first like proper like fancy restaurant I've really wanted to go to is a Coco in London, and it's like the very first Michelin starred West African restaurant, I think.
Oh shit! Yeah.
But it's like 100 quid for per person or something. So I'm like, yeah, maybe not.
Like, there came a point where like that barrier of like one go to Michelin star restaurant and that's like I just now like feel like unless I'm like actively wanting to go for some like ungodly reason, I just sometimes just get like turned off by it. I understand like creativity and like the whole like skill of it, but it's like the audience of a is so like I don't know. It can be too highbrow for me.
But it's one of these things where I feel like there's almost more. I feel like I'm trying to justify to myself not going. I'm like, or maybe there's more skill in like picking the good stuff off of a general menu than like. I guess the other thing is that the Michelin star rating is at the point you're at the Michelin star level. It's not really about the food, is it? It's really an experience. And I don't want to go somewhere with a dress code, you know? Who has time for that?
I don't have time for that.
I want to be insulted by the person that's bringing
Yes.
me this food.
I want to go to like the Karen's diner and just get like red to filth and feel like I'm causing an inconvenience for this person. But like I think like this like harks back to like I think this is the central theme of culinary class wars, right? Is that the barrier of like what food is supposed to be. And I still haven't watched it in a long while, so I'm really far behind. But it's also like, you know, like these like highly revered chefs and like their skill is immense. But you have like these kind of like lower chefs who are still like working hard in the restaurants and stuff, who are equally as talented. And it's the experience of kind of like what you're offering your patrons.
I found the culinary class wars thing kind of weird because on some level,
Yeah.
I I think some of the placements were strange of who was a black apron and who was a white apron.
Concur. Absolutely concur with that.
Because I think it probably makes more sense if you're Korean and know the scene a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
But like the fact that like one of the black apron chefs was like she featured in like a Netflix documentary about Kwanjang Market or something.
Oh.
I think I'm remembering that. I think she was in Street Food.
Oh, yeah.
And to my mind,
yeah,
I kind of feel like I think it was they call her Auntie. I don't think it's Auntie Omakaze. I think she's a different one. But
I know who that one is. I know who you're talking about. But yeah, that is a different one. I love her.
And her name in Korean is really clever because it's Imo Kaze, where Imo means auntie.
I love wordplay.
But obviously, like you'd have to call her like Auntie Kaze, which doesn't quite.
It doesn't hit. Yeah, it doesn't hit. I was just thinking of we were watching a food themed show last night. Have you heard of the television show Supermarket Sweep?
Yes.
It is the most like campiest thing, and I love it. It is like well, okay, full tea. There were they go like pairs, right? And they were like, well, for those of you at home who don't know what Supermarket Sweep, it is like a show from like the 80s to like mid thousands where it was supermarket themed. So like you had to answer questions about like products at like the grocery store, and you had just to run and get them and like earn like time to go on the big sweep where like you have to like solve puzzles and like basically what you have to do is you have to like put every single expensive item in your buggy and just like shop in like 2 minutes and 30 seconds for like expensive stuff. It's a wild ride. It's so campy. There was these two pairs called Ben and Gary. Ben, I forget what Ben does, but Gary was a senior aerobics instructor, and Gary needed a roommate, so his grandma introduced him to Ben, and they became roommates. Roommates. Oh, completely obviously not roommates. Love it. I had like a mullet and everything. It was great.
I looked on the Wikipedia page. Apparently, like there was a version of Supermarket Sweep in the 60s or something.
Probably.
Um, yeah, broadcast from December 20th, 1965.
Oh, I don't think it was that old. My God.
Um, so yeah, like because in the UK we associate it with the 90s.
Yeah, it's like the 80s for us. But I
Mhm.
didn't know that low. Damn, it's so old.
Um, so like super. I'm trying to think like what else. Well, I mean, do we want to talk about Bake Off?
We can. Let's do like Bake Off and then like maybe like kind of like what our kitchen vibe is. Like when we go in the kitchen, like kind of what is our like MO.
Hmm.
But like Bake Off this season is one of the ones in a long while where I am like thoroughly entertained and where I genuinely like everybody.
There's no one where you're well. Um, I, I shouldn't have forgotten his name. It's not Mike, is it? The guy from Essex?
No, Andy.
Andy.
Yeah, who wears the hats?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, as someone from Essex, and do you remember Ruby Tando?
Oh, the one that had to kind of like the scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so both of them are from Essex.
Mhm.
Ruby Tando actually, I don't think it wasn't the school that I went to or that my sister went to, but between the two of us, we went to like two different high schools here.
Okay.
And Ruby went to one of the other two in this group of four that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when I think about like Ruby, I really like see myself in her.
Mm-hmm.
Um uh I actually pulled
I
off I picked up some
love that.
I picked some books out that I was like if I need to like recommend anything, then I would recommend that.
Yes.
Like I I find it quite frustrating because the people who they make a big deal about being from Essex are the people like Andy, you know.
Mm. Like
And
really kind of like
honestly, he's kind of iconic. Like I I actually
great.
really I it's not like I think, oh, Essex shouldn't be represented like that,
Yeah.
because there are a bunch of people who are like him here. But for every one of him, there's probably like a few Ruby Tandos sprinkled in.
Mm.
Um, and like I I feel like they quite often have like a blokey bloke kind of builder. You know, it's one
Like
of
the
the
engineer dude.
yeah, it's one of
Yeah.
the archetypes of Bake Off.
It's like that one, and they're like the young person who's like a spot like the Martha type, like the Sumaya type, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like the Mike who's like the farmer dude and like brings all the like homemade ingredients. And then
Hmm.
there's like the Christian, like the gay who like loves his weird flavors.
I feel the gays don't always like weird flavors.
They don't.
Like, because I think Bake Off was pretty iconic because they crowned so many gay men in the first few seasons. And it was like, oh, I guess to win Bake Off it helps if you're gay.
It does.
Like
I
Mary
mean,
Berries, they're like, oh my god, I just love it.
well, you got to get married or prove drunk. That's how you win it. Add a little gin, add a little brandy. Ah, yum.
One thing I don't understand is if they know that that Paul doesn't like matcha, why do they keep putting it in everything?
Which A, how not? But like B, yeah, like they always like. I'm very curious to understand like either of their like their palettes, because like they seemingly just like eat a lot of flavors that they are not used to. And I think for me, like, I mean, I think I'm more a particular palate than most. And a lot of these things are like, oh gosh, like this sounds like it's not gonna work together. I got a little reflux, but like, yeah, like the I'm thinking of like Dylan's like gochujang rolls, which like looked fantastic. Still thinking about those to this day. Like and you kind of had that discussion where like the I don't want to say like the exotification of like gochujang or like just like the unfamiliarity of it in a lot of like Western context. I think they kind of like help a little bit, but it's just like, yeah, it's kind of like getting those like unfamiliar flavors like at the forefront of stuff.
I think that it's curious because I think it's like really interesting to see what does well and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I guess they like Nadia did really well, and she used a lot of her like South Asian flavors and stuff. But like for a while it kind of felt a little bit like there was a ceiling where if you're South Asian and you did a lot of South Asian themed bakes, they would be pleased with you to begin with and they would enjoy the spices, but then they would pull a Michelle Visage and be like, why don't you change your flavors up one week?
Yeah, like show us your versatility. And a matter of like, yes, there is a level that one must need, but also like if you are good at something and you have a knowledge base, why would I deviate from that too much?
And honestly,
if I know it's gonna
that's
make me
what I love about Nelly.
I love Nelly.
Have you seen like, this week's episode yet?
The last one I've seen was when Noel baseballed something, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't know if that's what baseball meant, but then I know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
When he knocked the jug of the caramel sauce onto the floor, right?
Yes. And then she's like, "Oh, I can do it again." Bullfucker. Like, no.
I would say the production needs to like step in at that point. Like
people are fainting, things are breaking. My God.
Well, I will say, I think they just didn't judge them on it. Like,
yeah.
Okay. Spoiler alert: the technical challenge for the next episode is spanakopita, and they clearly all made tzatziki, but they don't talk about the tzatziki ever. They just show it next to the spanakopita. Sorry, I looked it up. The spanakopides.
Oh, come on, panakopides.
And like, it's obvious that it was just that the tzatziki was so like straightforward and uneventful that they decided to just cut out all reference to it.
Like, unless like it like unfortunately split somehow. Like, I feel like tzatziki is not hard to like whip up.
No, I think, and also I don't think that spanakopita needs tzatziki.
I to me, like tzatziki is like for like a souvlaki or for like something like more meat.
Yeah, like a drier, meatier thing, or like with bread.
Yeah,
not like a spinach and feta stuffed pastry. Like
you're already like adding the dairy on the dairy.
Anyway,
I love spanakopita. I like. Well, we just made like kind of like a cute little like meat pie last night that was like delicious. Oh my goodness, like little like it was so delicious. Oh my goodness, whoa. But like just buy like the like if pre-made pie crust, easy, and you kind of just have your filling, you blind bake it, you put it in, and it's easy enough.
But I find so many American recipes call for a pre-made pie crust, and as British people, we see that and we think, how lazy are they? Like, and I I want to clarify that that's not I've become an American apologist, and it's not because I have some kind of delusion. I don't think. I think I just know too many Americans at this point to just sit there while they're like, oh, like, uh, this is what all Americans are like. I'm like, no,
Off
no, that's not true. Like,
we're a diverse population.
I feel like I just want to keep talking about TikTok drama with you because
Oh my
I
god.
just remembered the is America more diverse than Europe? And the answer is maybe.
I think it's diverse in different ways. Like I think it's like also like because a lot of like this is gonna sound like I don't want to sound racist, but like it's like our black population like came over from like the slave trade and they don't have a lot of connection to their African roots, where like a lot of like British black people tend to be more like from like the African Caribbean diaspora and know very clearly like where their ethnicity is. I think
Well,
there's
yeah, but British Caribbeans, they, I, I think that there's even like debates within like British Caribbean and Black British African communities here because like the Caribbean isn't originally black.
good. Fair enough. Exactly.
The I think that maybe there is. I guess the difference is that Jamaica is now a black majority culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like any like colonial nation in the US, if it ain't native, it doesn't go back that far. Um, I think that some of the arguments that got made were kind of silly, like, oh, like Europe has so many languages. If you travel X amount of distance, then you get a new language. And it's like, well, do we count native cultures in this?
No,
Do we count immigrant cultures in this?
no, God forbid.
But then it's not like Europe doesn't have immigrants.
Yeah, I think like it's so hard, and we definitely have shared a little bit, but it's hard to like compare like the two like map. I mean, like America is very I don't know, homogenous compared to like Europe, but like also like you have like a big ass like landmass versus like a little smaller kind of spattering of them. So like culturally, like you go like 100 miles and you're like in a different language family versus like you go down 100 miles here and you may be in the same state.
Mm.
Should we like do like a cute little like rapid fire foods we like, foods we don't like I don't know.
You can tell that we have really carefully planned this episode.
I have my outline set here, and I'm just kind of going. I'm likely just
Mhm.
going down like the list of like things that are tangential to food.
Because sure, let's. I'm gonna like flick through this, and I am gonna see what interesting things come up. The first one that stood out to me, sauerkraut. Yes or no?
Yes, but like not like out the jar, like in like pierogies, on like pork, on a hot dog. Great, love it. Served like fried with like brown sugar, love.
I've either no, I think I must have had sauerkraut at some point. I think that for me, sauerkraut will never compare with kimchi.
It will not. And this is saying from somebody who like is like sauerkraut is a part of like family home cooking. It will never compare.
Tahini.
Positive. Yes. Sesame anything is great.
I'm curious, do you know what chaat masala is?
Like maybe it's like, to me, chaat masala is like the chickpea curry. No, that's chana masala. Never mind. Then no, I don't know what that is.
Chaat masala is this is masala like garam masala.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a spice mix that you would use to season a chaat, which is like a family of like cold dishes
Okay.
with like yogurt and chutney,
Mm.
and some kind of base. So like a samosa chaat is really popular. So you have like torn up samosas with like yogurt and usually I think of like tamarind chutney and then like crunchy bits on top and usually some like raw onion and
Okay.
some like coriander, like cilantro.
Yeah.
I really like tart. Um, I don't think I actually had any in India because of the not unfounded fear of raw food.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. To me, like that does sound good. I think like I would need a little bit of eating into it. A lot of like heavy yogurt things, or like a lot of heavy dairy things, I tend to kind of stray away from.
Fennel.
Yes. Oh my god. Ah, I love it. Licorice, anything. Yes.
I am not a fennel person. We know this. It has
Mm.
been known. Um, courgette slash zucchini.
Yes, I love a good like summer squash moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about like making like a doenjang for like a nice like fall day, and like to me having like a squash in a doenjang is like a non-negotiable. I feel like it
You mean
needs to.
like quintantige?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Sorry, I meant to say the chicken part, but like yes, but like to me it's like that is like you have pork, like maybe like onion vibe, potato, squash, and like yeah, and then like you kind of just on top, delicious. Maybe some tofu moment if you're feeling it.
Mm.
Oh, that sounds so good. Or like a zucchini like pasta dish. Yum. But like it is also no shade against Remy. Love that man. But like it is like to go from like a heavy like Italian, like Eastern European background and then like no tomato has been a very like culture shock. And like I also like it's no tomato, no egg, which is like the most common like Chinese stir fry thing that I could think of. And to me, like it's like that's already off the table from the get go because like egg, but like oh, like I keep imagining like serving like tomato and egg stir fry.
No tomato is like I guess that really takes off a whole bunch of Indian food off the table,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess like
Actually interesting.
Southeast Asian foods probably all pretty safe.
Yeah, you have like the papaya salad, which the Thai name's escaping me.
Somtam,
Yes,
or
which is like,
also called Tom Sum in some places.
but yeah, like that to me is very tomato forward. Um,
Well, you don't have to have tomatoes in it.
you don't. I think yeah.
Um,
Mm.
I went to a Lao place for my birthday.
Yum.
And we got because Somtam is Isan dish, so it's from northeast Thailand. But the people are ethnically Lao.
Mhm.
Well, it's complicated. We don't have that. I don't think that we're going to have long enough for me to get into the details of my dissertation if we want to get to that.
I don't. Yeah, we have like a very scant time left, but we could, or we could do like a whole nother like food
I
part two.
think if people like this like chattier vibe, I think that we can save it for like do we want to like spoil what our plans are for the next few Bouba Babbles, or I don't think it's going to be a problem.
No.
Like, so one Luxembourg thing, which also I sorry, that just reminded me of like I don't know why my head keeps going back to like TikTok drama, but like every time that Americans try and call out Black British people for appropriating AAVE, and it turns out that it's just Jamaican slang, and it's not very often. I have to say that like the diaspora laws are really something to like keep up with. Like,
But like, people gotta just mind their business. Like, stay in your lane, girl. Like, you don't have to have an opinion on everybody's little like ish.
I think that there was a time like when like Black British actors were
Yeah.
taking spots that like people thought should be going to African American actors.
No.
And I don't think that that's talked about in the same way now as it used to be. But the diaspora laws, they keep coming, and it's not my place to judge one way or another.
True.
But I do find it entertaining.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Luxembourg, very exciting. I remember the absolute horror of trying to organize that between ourselves last year.
I can't believe it's like been a year too, which is like crazy. But like, it's just like that was like, I remember like the Instagram like moment of like getting all of that out. Like that was like a lot, but it's worthwhile.
Did we ever figure out how to get that done ahead of time?
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember how to schedule like posts. Yeah, it's just been a minute since we like did our socials better.
I think that since Luxembourg, the only thing that's gone up is the Brat cover.
Yes, like yeah, that definitely is probably the only thing.
Oh my god, what about a Brat themed?
Already sold. anything Brat sold.
Brixember.
Oh
no! What have we done? What have we set ourselves up?
We're in the Pink Pony Club now, dancing with our heels on.
I think Brixember is possible. I think it probably is going to require starting off with a little touch of the Yatlao in Kongwa.
Yeah.
Because we are not at the point with Bza to be translating lyrics.
No, we are. We are not anything remotely close. Like, oh my gosh. But I think we had the discussions of like translating talk for sure.
Yeah.
The one lyric. Talk to me in French, talk to me in Spanish, talk to me in your way of language. I don't understand.
Charlie XCX does not sing it in quite so low a pitch.
I have been like living for like the Girl So Confusing like intro where she like rambles on. She's like, sometimes you have your period, you gotta be up here, like you're cramping a lot, and you gotta like make that show worth it. Like, yes.
Yes. So we're doing Brexember.
Brexember.
Which portmanteauing is that? No, is that a portmanteau? Maybe. Yeah. It's a portmanteau.
Yeah, carry that jacket.
Then we have got another mini series, hopefully more successful than that horrible tone thing we did.
Oh gosh, it was not that horrible. It was just like I think we like we bit off a little more than we can chew somehow. I don't know
Well,
where.
because we randomly generated the language that we based it on. It's
That was so my idea. I was so excited for that. I'm so grateful we got something like remotely like okay. That G still haunts me. I feel like I don't know how, but like we in our languages have a very odd relationship with G and how G happens. Like, I mean, we have like going to G, love that. We have like the romanization of the G, which is stellar. But I'm really like we just can't get it together with it.
We can't. We can't.
Yeah.
I think it's haunting us.
It is. I will say that when it comes to like ingesting, no G, no K. So my Bueller stops have not been in my body. Love that. Don't want to do any of that. Safety.
So we're thinking of having a little photosynthesis season.
Yay.
I don't know if there's like photosynthesis like early, late winter. Doesn't feel like it has the vibiness that we're looking for.
I know I've been drinking. But brain went squat. But like I think like having a little something like to like latch on to, it's good. Like I mean, it's body enough.
Oh yeah. If I don't talk, you're not gonna see it.
No.
So
a little TikTok game or something like that. I don't know.
It's not taken straight back into the Wendy Williams. Where is she?
Oh, Wendy Williams. What an icon and a legend, and I hope she gets all the help that she needs. But like primo, like Wendy Williams was everything. Oh my god, it was just like iconic, like just like reading the most like casual like of people, and like not even caring.
Anyway, fine, strong finish. I think that we could probably plan for 3 episodes on that.
I think we could.
It's not quite a Jesse Peterson 5-episode spectacular.
Oh, and a Jesse extravaganza series eleganza. you can tell I'm watching España, which I have been loving this season.
Is Jesse the Analocking of the Conlang universe?
Oh, 100% over. Yes.
Over!
Hola! Yeah, doble over!
Over, cariño!
But I like analocking is like I would like remember this. Like she is like the most liked judge of like any of like the franchises. Like I don't think anybody could come for analocking and like live.
But is it just that Supreme and Analocking look amazing because they're sat next to Los Javis?
I will also say another judge who like I do love, who like comes out with all the looks, always looks fantastic, but can be a little harsh, is Duda Bertolini. I feel like he always looks stunning. Drag Race Brazil. Okay.
I have not seen it properly.
Oh, Jay, you have to. Oh my god, it is everything. Scream.
I feel like when it first came out, I think there were like it was coming out at that time when there were like 4 seasons airing at once, right?
There probably was.
And I love the international seasons, but if UK is on, I'm watching her.
Which is which I have not watched season 6. Well, I think we haven't even watched season 5, so we're starting from a little bit back ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a minute since I watched Anglo Drag Race. Yes.
Is that including Canada?
It is including Canada. We haven't watched it at all. I mean, well, there's a new season coming out on the 21st, for what I remember seeing.
I am thrilled that Michaela Couture is on.
Yes. I'm excited. Well, Uma God looks like fire, but also I didn't realize that like she was not the drag relative of Ermagerd. You know, like it looks so like similar. But I guess she's like a Montrealer, so obviously in our books that means we want her to win. Any Montrealer we are good for. Speaking of Montreal, they have some like really good bagels there. Yum. Love Montreal bagels.
Oh my god, the bagels on Bake Off. Those sad bagels.
Oh my god. I remember John's bagels were abhorrent.
Have we had like a proper like proudly Jewish baker on Great British Bake Off? I feel like we haven't.
I feel like we haven't either. I don't think so. No, maybe not. Weird. I have. Yeah. I was going to say
for December, for November and December, polysynthesis is going to be Jan, Feb, and March. And I want to like, we have some ideas for guests, which is very exciting, but we need to find out how to schedule the guests.
Yes.
Scheduling.
Ooh.
That sounds like a German monster.
The scheduling.
Scheduling in the forest.
I think
on that note.
Yes. On that note, dear God. We have touched on the topic of food in some capacity, but like I also think having the amorphous like tangent, like I mean like I feel like we went like down like the route of like our episode is food. Of like the topic was here and like we were like way over like there somehow. But
I think that we covered all the important things.
I think we did.
And if people want like an episode about my dissertation, I would be very happy to like give a little Burmese food monologue.
Yeah.
The Burmese food monologue sounds like an interesting book.
I would read the Burmese food monologue.
Anyway,
I
hope you've enjoyed this ramble through our minds.
Yes, I hope you enjoy listening to our voices for another little round of the week and that your spirits are lifted by it.
At least this time we haven't horribly procrastinated doing anything with our language.
Nope. We can't procrastinate on just a general casual talk.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.